Greetings, I'm Charles, I'm 58 years old. I'm 6'1" when I'm fully assembled and I weigh about 180 pounds right now. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit different than what I normally do. I normally show tips about how I move around, how I do things as being a double amputee, below the knee amputee, above the knee amputee on the left side. Today I'm going to talk about amputations on my hands. I've recently had amputation done. Portions of my index finger and middle finger have been removed and they're still healing. That's why they're still wrapped up. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. First of all, it's not uncommon for people that have had circulation or cardiovascular issues to have issues with amputations, and that's what if you just looked at me, you would attribute my leg amputations and that to that, poor circulation, that sort of thing. And the thing with my hands are definitely had to deal with cardiovascular issues. Now I actually have a situation on my left hand, and you probably can't see it because I got a band-aid on it, but part of my middle finger is going to be removed here shortly. And what has happened is there's been blockage in my arms that have caused poor circulation in my fingertips and my fingers, and as a result of that my fingers have kind of died off. What it kind of looks like is frostbite, so if you've ever seen frostbite, you know kind of what it looks like. But the dead portions of tissue is basically turns black, ashen gray, kind of mottled somewhat. Now they certainly still bled and stuff if I whacked it on something or I broke that area, something of that nature. But thought what I'd mention to you is that these seem to be probably caused by other things dealing with cardiovascular system. I recently had stents put into my heart, and of course they tell you that there's all kinds of potential side effects, and they'll tell you might get your fingers cut off or your hands cut off or something like that. But what had happened is shortly after that I started noticing these conditions that have been diagnosed as having blockage in each of my arms, my hands here, and I'm suspecting that those blood clots, hey, I can't do air quotes anymore because I don't have those fingers, that those clots made their way because of the drugs that were used and the fact that they did that surgery installing the stents. In any case, so what's happened with me, the circulation was so bad on this side that a bypass was done, and I'm sure you can't see the scars, but there's a big scar here and a big scar here. What they did is they took a vein out of my leg, did a bypass from here to here to improve the blood flow, and the whole mission of that was so that the poor circulation would progress to loosen my whole hand, which I appreciate. And amazingly enough, that was a surgery that was, didn't hurt for very long after the surgery, and I got along pretty well. The thing that really hurt was my fingers as they were rotting away. So eventually we got around to amputating these fingers, and amazingly enough, just days after the amputation, a couple of days after the amputation, hurt about as bad as my fingers did for the 5 months I was waiting for all of this to heal, and for them to check the progress, see where they wanted to amputate, all that. It took about 5 months, so I was actually in pain for about 5 months. And this one's scheduled to to be cut off. So, you know, at least a portion of it to be cut off. And I will have a couple of short fingers at that point. Now, what I figured I would do is continue adding these type of videos to my regular site that has been talking about tips basically for lower leg stuff, about how I manage with a lesser amount of finger ability. And, you know, maybe as I learn to write again or use the toothbrush or whatever, I don't know, open jars, just as I think of things, I will add them to the videos, add videos if I think they might be helpful. All right, so we got some basic information about what's happened to me and what my situation is. I think I'm going to try to add something that's useful to this video towards the end. So hopefully, if you got this far along, you'll actually get something that's worthwhile now. One of the things I've discovered, having cardiovascular problems, having various surgeries, dealing with that, I have spent some quantity time, not going to say quality time, but quantity time in hospitals. This past year, I spent, if you add it all together, over 3 months in the hospital. So, one of those stays was actually in a rehab / retirement home, and I was there for just over a month. One of the things I learned there, and I had not learned in one of my many hospital stays, had to deal with the use of some of these adult washcloths, or disposable washcloths is what they're called. So I thought I'd talk about that today. In another video, I show how, as right after one of my long hospital stays, I started using these things to clean myself up until I could get in the shower again. And what these ones are, and these I went through a lot of brands, but these are this is one of the clamshell containers for Continental wipes. Okay, so we've got Continental wipes. They're supposed to be able to throw those in the toilet and flush them. I did an experiment some time ago where I actually put one of those things in a jar and let it set, and it took about 8 days for it to even look like it was breaking up. So I think they're probably not a good idea to throw them in the toilet and flush them, because I think you may end up with some plumbing problems in the long run. In any case, my point to showing you this Continental brand, and I tried several brands because I'm pretty cheap, so I want to get the cheapest stuff I can get for the most part. But the Continental brands did not bleed through, let me say. When you're cleaning up the worst parts of your body, like if you're in the bathroom or something, when you cleaned with these, they didn't come through to your hands. And I had a lot of brands that you did, that you knew for a fact you had to wash your hands when you were done. Now, wash my hands anyway, but I'm telling you, you knew that you had to wash your hands. You had to wash them good. So this is something that I suggest for the really, really, really kind of dirty parts. Another thing that, as I was talking about before, we have these disposable washcloths. Disposable washcloths is something that are all over the place and they're easy to get, but I was never introduced to them. So I didn't know. I didn't see them in the hospital because they had washcloths and stuff. I don't have anybody that I've taken care of. You know, like my folks are both still in good health and all that, so it's not like I got to take care of them and clean them or anything like that. So I was never introduced to these disposable washcloths. When I was in the rehab / retirement home, oh, and if you love anybody, please don't let them live in one of those places. This was terrible. It was a month for me. I lost 30 pounds. And it was scary. In any case, the one thing I did learn in there was that was about these disposable washcloths. And as I came out of there, I tried a whole bunch of different ones, because of course I couldn't get the ones that they had, because they get them from wherever they get them. And I discovered this brand here one time that I can't get anymore. But the thing I like about these is they actually work pretty well, but they come in a very good dispenser. That was one of my big issues, was the dispenser with these disposable washcloths. And this is got a big old hole in the top. It's easy to reach in and grab the washcloth, and they're kind of folded up and stacked up together, and they stick together a little bit, so you got to work with them a little bit to pull them out one at a time. But you can reach in and get them and pull them out, and it's not a big issue. Okay. The next one I'll talk about is this one right here. And I will tell you what this brand is this is Equate. It's called Assurance is the name of it. And they have a lot of things under the Assurance line, but it's Equate. And if you know about Walmart, you know that's a Walmart brand. So if you look online at walmart.com or go to Walmart, you can find these things. And the thing that I like about this is very much like the type of dispensers that all of these things have. And what it is, it's a plastic bag. It's got a little plastic top that opens up. And once you open up, there's a slot to pull these things out, and it's supposed to kind of dispense them one at a time. Well, it kind of dispenses 1.5 at a time, but still, most everything else I found was this type of system, but the hole that you probably won't be able to see, even if I poke this through, maybe you can see the contrast. See the white right in the middle? That's the disposable washcloth, about ready to poke out the hole. Now, most of these things that I found came with a hole that was probably half that size, and that was very difficult to handle. Even though my hands are pretty jacked up, I'm suspecting that most people would have a real problem with that little itty bitty hole. So this one, even with my hands messed up, I didn't have a problem handling and pulling, reaching in and pulling stuff out, and if it's stuck together, work with it a little bit. So, I hate to be a big fanboy or anything of a particular product, but the packaging on this makes it well worthwhile, and it comes with an option to get an aloe vera in the mix, which is a positive for me. Alrighty. What I've also done, now I've been pretty happy with these things right here, but before I come across these, one of the things that I did do when I found brands that I liked, and they had that little itty bitty hole that I had a hard time working with, I would just take it, cut the end off of that package. I'd cut that end off of that package, pull them out, and put them in this box right here, actually. This is an empty box. It's been empty for a long time, but I figured if for some reason I get one of these other packages that I can't use, or that I have a hard time operating, then I'll go ahead and use this box with the new stuff taken out of that packaging. In any case, some information about me, a little bit about my stent, my circulation problems, the fact that I'm losing some fingers, so I'm I don't know how you describe it, leg amputee, finger amputee. Hopefully it'll stop there, but who knows. You got a little bit of that information, and hopefully some useful information about possibly using some these adult these disposable washcloths. So have a heck of a good day, and I hope this was useful for you, and good luck.